All right. So, told you folks that there's going to be debate topics coming to the show. We've already been doing a bunch with B Comp. I'm bringing Zach here because I found some really fun ones online that I want to throw out there.
Let's fucking throw
and
down.
then Zach and I are going to throw down, but this is really in chat. Throw your 2 cents in because we're going to be arguing those points.
I'm going to destroy you.
All right.
I don't know.
I'm going to kick you off with this one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Peer pressure is a good thing.
All right.
Do you agree or disagree?
This is why I suck at it. I agree in certain situations.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's a good thing.
Pick a side.
All right. I agree that it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Because
I think I will take myself as an example. Here's let's say I'm the subject of the peer pressure.
yeah.
I am the kind of person, and I think humans are wired this way. You get comfortable in your own space. And that leads you, if there's no change, if there's no outside force pushing you in a certain direction, you are liable to become, crystallized and just sitting there in your comfort, and you never grow. But if you have good friends who are looking out for you, who peer pressure you in a positive way,
Well,
then maybe you talk to the girl that you didn't.
Peer pressure.
I would say peer pressure is like, we're all having an adventure. We're all doing this thing.
I don't, because, okay. Because I don't think peer pressure is like what a lot of people are imagining on the good side of the spectrum, where it's like, I'm just kind of succeeding and you're watching me succeed. And because I'm succeeding next to you in your space, you're pushed to push yourself a little bit farther.
I don't consider that peer pressure.
Peer pressure is what?
Peer pressure is more direct. Peer pressure is actually
get out on the dance floor.
It's making you uncomfortable so that you will change your behavior. And I think that you need to become uncomfortable in order to grow. So it might be get out on the dance floor. I think that's a positive version of this. It might be, yo, Peter, come on, cut school tomorrow. We're all going to Ventura. We're just going to lay out on the beach and we're going to drink until the cops come, and then we're going to run away. And that's an adventure. That's a story. If you don't have peer pressure, then, you might miss out on having life stories. And those are more important than maybe the 1,000th day of school.
So peer pressure can be a good thing.
I think so.
Yeah. Ig says only if it pushes you forward in a positive way. But the thing is, though, is peer pressure in and of itself a good thing? That's the whole thing about debate points, is like you change one word. Can you categorize peer pressure entirely as a good thing?
Well,
yes or no?
No. Entirely as a good thing?
Is peer pressure is a good thing?
Oh, well, I can't categorize it always as a good thing.
That's what debate is. I just changed the language.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're back on my side.
Right. So what would be my tactic again?
Well, because here's the thing is like,
I am a beta cuck simp. I don't know how to push my point of view to convince somebody else. So how would you recommend that I counter that chess move?
Well, because here's the thing is like, theoretically, almost universally, not true. There's a lot of things that you really cannot find to fit this space. You can almost argue anything under certain circumstances is a good thing. We see it in movies. Heroes kill bad guys all the time. Killing is a good thing. Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor. Stealing is a good thing.
But how could you... Well, I guess the truth of the matter is that what I believe the truth of the matter is that it could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the situation.
But is it a good thing inherently? Is peer pressure inherently good?
There's no way to tell.
Oh, okay.
It's not inherently good. It's not inherently bad.
Oh. It's
inherently neutral.
It absolutes. All right, well, let's move on to another fun, because we could have keep going dealing. Only cis deals in absolute. Great point, Greg. Here we go. Reality television depicts real life.
Of course it does.
Does it really?
Yes.
Go on.
Absolutely does. What else are they filming? Are they
Well,
filming computer animated shit? No, they're filming reality.
Yeah.
That's happening.
It is constructed reality. Now, I'm gonna say this about
No
reality.
reality is constructed reality. Reality is reality.
Oh,
Of
you're
course
going
it's
that
showing
angle.
reality.
Because it is the thing that is happening.
Yes, yes.
Whether it's a narrative that people are making or a narrative that happens to happen without outside influence.
Whether it's if it's a natural narrative like a river eroding a rock, or if it's a narrative where there are producers going, hey,
With a hose,
this guy
drenching that
with a
hawk.
hose and an electroshock cattle prod.
Yeah.
Those are both happening. It's reality.
I think a really interesting angle from the reality television experience. I'm going to put this out there for all you reality TV producers. I think because reality television does this by accident, reality television is a social experiment that is filmed.
Sure.
Okay.
I could fucks with that.
Yeah. I think we should make reality TV shows that are just social experiments that we film. So there's a lot of things in psychology that we want to explore. Well, how would people behave under XYZ circumstances?
There have got to be shows that are better at doing this than other shows.
Well-
I mean, like some of the Love Is Blind stuff, right?
No, so I want to talk about things like, let's say you took
Belko experiment?
the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah.
That is a social experiment meant to understand how people function. They did tape it and there was a movie, but I think that things that psychologists are doing in like focus group situations should be turned into reality television.
I think that would be great. So that electroshock game,
Right.
remember where they're set at Yale or whatever
Yeah.
it was?
Where they keep pressing a button
They keep
and
pressing a button.
they
and
have to
hearing
keep going up.
screams. Yeah. But
Yeah.
didn't they film that? Are these
They
things filmed?
documented it, but I'm talking about you take that and
You
you
think they
added
should be produced?
you add an MTV twist to it. Like it's gamified their sponsors, but it's all like if we're gonna make all this reality TV, like we should be learning more and more about human beings.
I guess.
And then
Aren't
reality
there?
television will depict real life.
Then it would just be documentary, I guess. I feel like this issue comes down to a semantic naming of the genre problem. Like reality TV. The way I argued what reality TV is, I could also argue that means that like TBS is reality TV
Right,
and they're,
right. So for example,
anything filmed.
do you know what Are You the One is?
No, I've only
Okay.
heard of it. What's the show?
Are You the One is one of the most interesting social experiments out there. And I love it. I love it as a reality TV show, especially season 8, which is a gender fluid, pansexual, bisexual version of Are You the One. So here's what Are You the One is. A bunch of people go on a show. They meet with therapists and matchmakers, and in this group of 20 people, in the boys' side and girls' side, one person on the other side is your perfect match.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I remember this premise.
And you're trying to figure out who your perfect match is.
Yeah.
All right. That's the game of it. And then you ask yourself, oh my God, what makes someone a perfect match for me? What an interesting question. And knowing that there is a guarantee that one person in this room, you would have like a forever lasting relationship. You've taken that like soulmate thing and you've put it as best as we scientifically can as human beings. I've put your soulmate in this room of not 1 million people, but 10 people. Okay. And you all have to figure out who that person is. Now, part of the reason why it's so psychologically interesting, outside of the fact that people get it wrong and they fall into old habits and stuff, the best part about it is there's always a huge asshole in the room. Now, what we know to be true
Is that
asshole is someone else's perfect match.
Right.
Someone else looks at this person and go, that's what I deserve. That's the best I'm going to get. Me and this person are going to be together forever.
What kind of like questionnaires do they give?
No idea.
To determine.
No one knows.
We don't know what the methodology is.
No. So, are you the one?
I want to watch this show. This sounds
Go watch it. And what's interesting about season 8, the pansexual, gender fluid one is your perfect match could now be any of the 20 people here. You don't know if it's a boy, a girl,
could be
a they, a them, whatever in this space.
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, holy cow, does it psychologically mess with so many people? You have no idea where to put your effort. And then the other thing is, you start dating somebody, you feel this unbelievable connection. Love is so real. Oh my God. And then you go into the truth booth and then they go, nope, you're wrong. Everything you know is a lie. And then you watch that person psychologically deal with the ramification of second guessing everything that they've ever gone through.
Yeah.
And then a week later, they're back on the hunt again. More psychological experiments on people on reality TV.
I'm into this.
You heard it here, folks. Let's probe the human psyche. Are you the one?
Too.
Paramount Plus has all the seasons. Watch it.
Also, try F Boy Island too. That's fun. They canceled
F Boy
it, but-
Island's very interesting too. Okay, here's another one for you to really think about.
Great.
And this is a good one for you. Is it better to be kind than to be truthful? And for you folks out there, kind or truthful, what's the best?
Gut instinct, I think it's better to be kind. Yeah.
I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah, I think it's better to be kind.
Why?
Because at the end of the day, the kindness is what keeps you going. Now, I know you may argue that in order to grow as a person or in order to face your own faults or anything like that, you need people to be truthful. But if it's better to be kind than be truthful, and we can only choose one, and let's say we had to choose, everybody's truthful and not kind, because we're deciding that one's better, then just what tenderness is there to live for anymore?
What is the end goal of kind?
The end goal of kind is to make people feel comforted in a scary world and accepted, and that there are people that will give you a soft landing spot.
Well, I'll argue this. Kindness can create overconfidence in a space where it isn't true. And that kindness can lead to a lot of hurt and pain by saving people from the real realities that they're actually facing. And it's, in fact, a better, more kind thing to do to be truthful in that person's sort of like long run, especially in like, if you're talking about whether it's better overall for humanity to be kind or to be truthful. We have seen over the past like 4 years, the ramifications, what happens when reality is slightly warped, when we're looking at all of this sort of like the Instagram filter version of existence. Of like, this person is living a really cool, super fun life that I think is like so amazing and interesting, but it isn't what's real. And that false narrative that's set up does a lot of psychological damage to the people that end up watching it. The truth, however, and practicing accepting and understanding and embracing the truth gives us all the tools that we need as humanity to survive. Now, I'm not saying that like you would never have kindness and that people wouldn't support each other or do good things in the world. They would just opt for the truth over in a situation over being kind.
Sure. Now,
Arbitrarily kind.
It's interesting because I think you might be conflating kindness with politeness. You know, there was this thing where Korean, or maybe it was Japanese, I think it was Korean airlines had a real problem with plane crashes because the co-pilot was so deferential to the pilot that they didn't want to criticize when they saw something going wrong. So it would lead to, like, you know, human error, things like that.
Yeah.
That was them being overly polite. I think that's a different thing from being kind. Also, you yourself said that in the past couple of years, we saw reality warp. That brings me to this whole thing of the idea of truth. And we're seeing that truth is relative. So why not err towards kindness if truth can change?
Well, I don't think that truth is relative.
You think that
if you want to define, absolutely. So, for example, when people use the expression like guns don't kill people, people kill people. Those are relationships to facts. That's not the truth. Okay, a truth, which is a fact that is all encompassing, a real reality. You can say guns can kill people. That is empirically true in any way that you argue it. Guns have the capability of killing people. When you say guns do kill people, that's an opinion, because guns don't always kill people. It's not empirically true. So there are things that are empirically, true. Like, you can't live with how we understand human beings without taking in oxygen.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
That's the other thing, is that truth changes based on time.
Well, so here's the thing, is like the Earth is not flat.
As far as we know.
No. We know.
Our best science, the evidence that we have gathered, tells us
not even that.
The Earth
you can empirically say
round.
The Earth is not flat.
I'm not arguing the Earth is flat. I'm arguing that we accept a truth because we're all kind to each other and agree on it.
It's not
kindly.
true.
And yet, if evidence comes out in the future that the Earth is flat, we would have to...
but that's the thing, is like,
we would have to incorporate it.
there is no such thing in that scenario. In all ways in which we can measure existence, the Earth is not flat.
Right now. And
At what point in history does the Earth... Well, I guess when the Earth does get smushed down in the end times...
we'll have to reassess.
I
don't believe the Earth is flat.
Fine. I know that.
I believe that if anything, if it's not round in a sphere, it's not flat. It would be like, a couple miles thick and then a big disc, right?
I don't even really know. I've tried to look at their flat Earth models, and like, they're all... The funny thing is like, they're all so easy to disprove. But anyway, like, my big thing with kindness... Now, I'm not saying that, like, advocating for the truth is advocating for being unkind. I think if you're creating a priority structure, it is far more important for our survival as a species to be truthful than it is to be kind.
But if you're not kind, then the species could annihilate itself.
The species would annihilate itself by only being kind over the truth.
I don't know. I think that they might come to a certain agreement.
Well,
I think if everybody was kind and put the truth on the back burner for a while, they would be like, oh, we're all pretty cool with each other.
But here's the biggest problem
science.
Is that, let's say, because what we're debating is kindness or truth, which one comes first in the priority. It's not saying that the other one no longer exists. I think that's really important when people debate stuff.
Sure.
Is like, I'm not negating one over the other.
You're saying which one is
more important. That's our debate point, is it is better to be kind than to be truthful.
Okay. Let's say there's a Grateful Dead concert.
Okay.
The truth, from my perspective from the outside, is that there are a bunch of unwashed hippies dancing and making a racket and looking dumb.
That's not the truth, though.
The kindness is the actual truth. The kindness among them, from a different perspective, is the actual truth.
No, you just gave two opinions. Your opinion on it.
I'm seeing it's the same thing from two different
because the thing
perspectives.
is like I could disprove that point by simply showing a person at the Grateful Dead concert that is not a hippie that you would
I'm saying
define
a
as
select
right. But the thing is,
four
though,
people.
is like that doesn't make it true. You just argued that like the rose colored version of that is the better experience, right?
Well, I argued that their
said-
personal truth is influenced by the kindness that they are feeling for each other.
Right, but the problem is that if you have a society that continues to sort of tier each other up, so this is what I mean about like making each other the priority over the other. If you have a society that they always, when faced with those two roads, opt for the kindness roads, where does that go? I think that opting for the kindness road whenever you're hitting that fork is going to create a distorted reality for everybody. You're basically, everyone is walking around gaslighting each other in super, super small ways. The same thing does not happen if you go in the truth route. Going the truth route doesn't all of a sudden make people assholes to each other where they walk around and saying that like, hey, you look fat in those jeans. Like that's not what the truth route goes. But the problem is even if we use the extreme of that, of like, hey, you look fat in those jeans, well, that person has information now. They have accurate information based off of what the other person's opinion. Now, the accurate information they have is that person thinks I look fat in my jeans. Now, they can do something with it or not. They can decide to change, or they can just go, I don't value that person's opinion. But the reality is that person does in fact think they look fat in those jeans. They can go change jeans. They now have a course of action, whereas the kindness route is glossing over everything and it's not giving us a clear direction to go to. Like if we're ever going to give each other advice, we need accurate GPS. So like a lot of us identify when we sort of describe ourselves to other people, we describe how we wish we were, not how we actually are. Where we actually put our time and energy versus our idealized version of like, oh, I'm working on that novel. It's like, actually, you've been sitting on the couch for like a few days. You want to be the person that's working on the novel, but like you're not. So if I give you advice and you're telling me I'm working on the novel, well, I'll be like, oh, well, just keep doing what you're doing. But that's not true. And what I mean by the GPS version of it is like, if you are asking me how to get to New York and you're telling me you're in Florida, but you're actually in Michigan, I'm going to give you different directions. I'm going to go like, oh, you should go north. Well, you're going to end up in Canada. You're not going to end up in New York. And like, that's what the truth gives us. It gives us an accurate depiction of where we are. Whether we want to be in Michigan or not, that is where we are. And we can never get to New York until we accept the truth that we're in fucking Michigan.
That's fair. I just think that they're in a lot of the scenarios you just laid out, it was like kindness and truth are mutually exclusive. And if you have the one, you can't have any truth. The question was which one.
No, but
important.
that's what I mean is like, I think that the truth is more important.
But
because
in real life, we don't come to these crossroads where it's like a lot, unless it's like on Instagram, how do you look?
No, but we do though, because part of the reason why I brought up the point that like we're not even accurate in our own self-descriptions about where we're at, because we're not accurate in those spaces, we're going to get lost more in trying to find where we need to go. So a society that is more kind than is more truthful is going to run into more issues because their GPS is out of whack.
Yeah. That's a society I want to live in.
But everyone's nice to each other. Ooh, I like this one. All right. And this was a really weird one that stuck out to me, but I super love it. We should allow people to go barefoot anywhere if they want to.
No.
Really?
No. I don't want the spread of plantar warts.
Oh, okay.
That's my answer.
Huh.
Plantar warts are caused by a human papillomavirus. They're very easily spreadable, particularly in public showers and things like that. That would just open up way more places to spread. And
viruses?
yeah, specifically that version of HPV. It's just a really tricky one to get rid of, and it takes a lot of going to a dermatologist or whatever, podiatrist, I don't know,
Okay.
and freezing treatments.
I am 100% yes.
God. This is
It,
disgusting.
well,
This is disgusting.
well, here's why.
This is the new low.
We have seen so much science and so much data about how walking barefoot fixes our health problems, about how our shoes confine our toes, which change how we walk. We as a country sit more than we ever have before. We're generally less active because we have screens everywhere. People are running into all kinds of back and hip issues that get solved by walking naturally with bare feet. There is also grounding, that sort of practice, which sort of helps your body out a lot. I had plantar fasciitis because I have very high arches, and it developed over a long period of time. And it was from me running around wearing games. I started wearing the arch supports in my shoes, but that didn't do it. It wasn't until I did the Bridge to Nowhere hike barefoot, which is like an 8-mile hike barefoot.
Bridge to Nowhere. That's cool.
I had plantar fasciitis for a year. I did this one hike one day, and now this is qualitative measurement. I'm not saying that this is true for everybody. I did this one hike, and it was the natural stretching from my feet walking on the different rocks, me trying to cross the river, gripping onto the stones. My foot became more active. I was getting massages from all the different terrain that was going on. I started using other senses where I picked up temperature with my feet, which was not a normal thing, of just being like, you imagine Native Americans out tracking things out in the world. I could pick up hot spots that were on the ground being like, oh, something else was here, or like this spot used to be wet. Another sense that sort of opened up the whole world to me. That's why I think we should be able to do barefoot. I think we can find ways of people cleaning their feet more that would support all the health benefits that walking around barefoot would do for people. But it's just an option. It's saying they're allowed to go barefoot if they want to.
Yeah.
Not
Now,
demanding that everyone goes barefoot.
knowing what I know about human behavior over the past 3 years, I do not think that even if we set up an infrastructure for cleanliness.
Well,
and,
we've
like,
seen how
disease
people
containment,
wash their hands.
I don't think that people would buy in still. I think the world would just get a little bit more disgusting. And I'm glad that you had positive effects from your experiment, but I think that that's just a lovely curiosity that I would love to confine to the home and far away from everybody else.
Do you think that there will be more diseases because of foot contact on the ground in more spaces?
I mean, yeah.
Do you
it would
not like
stand to
feet?
reason. It would
Are you
stand to
a
reason.
non-feet person?
No, not necessarily. I'm fine with feet.
Do you think that more exposure to feet might get rid of the stigma that some people have when they see feet and think feet are
I
gross?
have a decent amount of exposure to feet, Peter.
Whose feet are you seeing?
I don't know. Scarlett Johansson.
Do you want to see? Right. Okay. Would there be a rise in foot fetishes, or would there be decline?
That's a good question, because now you're asking, like, would foot fetishes just be saturated in their desire?
There'd be feet everywhere.
I don't know. Maybe they'd be. I don't want to say cured, because I don't think it's a negative thing to have a foot fetish.
You don't think so? Now I know we're also going to deal with things like might be glass in the ground. There'd be more danger for people.
But I don't care about if people get hurt or not.
You wouldn't want to go for a little jaunt on like feeling the warm cement of the sidewalk, little tufts of grass that poke up between that just kind of.
I would love to, but I can do that now.
And then you
I can do that now.
And then you walk
You're saying
into
people
a
can
coffee
be barefoot
shop
all the time.
with a cool floor.
That's
Disgusting. And then there's a nice fur rug on the coffee shop, and you feel that experience.
Rug is gonna stink.
Listen, people.
Everyone's feet are on that rug. I am so confident in my answer in this one.
But the thing is, though, is people would redefine industries. We would have more sanitation in different spaces, and people would open up the experiences
taxpayer dollars.
to your feet. Imagine being at a club dancing barefoot.
Imagine all of the outfits that are ruined because you have bare feet and not matching shoes.
People would get feet tattoos more. There would be foot accessories. Imagine getting like a little foot tuxedo.
Toe rings already exist.
Yeah.
And they're weird.
I don't know, man. I think people
Foot tuxedo.
people being more
Now you have to. Now there's going to be tiny dry cleaners.
for sure.
Wow.
Listen, people love capitalism, man. We're opening up a whole new industry. Foot like museums that you walk through just to experience different textures on your feet.
That I could actually imagine being fun, but I would want to be the first person to ever go there and then never go back.
Are you afraid of people? Well, here's the other thing is like more people having their feet out and about will lead to less foot odor.
That might be true. It's not enough for me to switch sides though.
No.
No. And now I have the image of this coffee shop disgusting foot carpet in my mind. And they're like, they're in the service industry. How often are they going to wash that carpet? That's like a monthly task, if that at all. That might be when they do inventory.
I call that job
of the
creation.
Boy, I call that nasty creation.
Listen, we would take care of our streets more. Imagine how much people would pick up their trash if they knew they're walking through an area with their bare feet.
How much more they would pick up
I
trash?
theorize that littering would go down. Because people would say things like, "Hey, I'm walking here." You know? Someone's about to spill something or like drop trash and it's like, "Yo, man, people are walking here." So you wouldn't have the same experience because we assume our feet are protected in these little sneakers
all right,
and
well,
shoes.
this is a problem because if littering goes down, then that means that midnight cowboy quotations go up.
Midnight cowboy quotation.
I'm walking here.
Oh,
If everyone's out there saying that.
I mean, I think the world might be a cleaner place if more people were barefoot.
I think shoes contain a lot of heat, so you might be looking at global warming.
You're saying that the shoes maintain our heat?
Yeah. And the heat gets absorbed into shoes. I don't necessarily have the research to back this up. But I think that
if we let out our natural body heat through our extremities, which have the lowest portion of our body heat, we would heat the planet more.
Yeah, probably. Also,
but you don't think the manufacturing
of shoes. I knew you were going to say this, but now you're saying they're going to think of all of the cottage industries that are going to spring up to replace shoes. You have to accessorize somehow, and those, I would bet, are going to cause more greenhouse gases than the shoe industry.
Okay, let's find a happy medium on this. What about those foot pads that people started using? It's literally just a strip that goes on the bottom of your foot. So the bottom of your foot is protected from the ground and from the diseases that you're worried about. Top of your foot is exposed.
This might be a happy medium.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I could come to an agreement on this.
So it's really the spread of disease that's your main concern.
That's my main concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
you're still causing global warming. But I'm compromising.
Okay. That was great. I really like that one.
Me too.
Okay. Here we go. Oh no. I killed Zach.
Oh God.
Why did you lunge off screen? Can somebody clip that?
Sweet Lord.
You okay?
Yeah, I just
Went down the wrong pipe?
breathed water.
Oh, it happens, man.
That's the way of water, Avatar.
Here's a really interesting one, but I think we're going to be on the same side. But I like the question. Should fines be scaled depending on income?
No.
Really? Okay.
Just don't do the wrong thing.
Yeah,
And
but
you don't have to worry about it.
But you're talking about the efficacy of corporal punishment, which is almost zero.
Wait, what? Where does corporal punishment fit into this?
Because that's the idea, is like, I'm preventing you from doing something by having a stick around.
Oh, that's not what I'm saying.
But the thing is, though, is like, should fines be scaled depending on income? So it's like a parking ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Should you, a person making whatever income versus a multimillionaire, pay the same for that parking ticket?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's a parking ticket. Don't park there. Just easily avoid that.
But the thing is, though, is the wealthy person is not in any way receiving any kind of punishment for it. A $75 parking ticket for a wealthy person, they could park in that spot every single day, break the law every single day, and experience not a percentage of what you would get receiving one ticket.
Yeah.
Therefore, there is no law for that person.
There is a law. They're still breaking it. That doesn't mean there's no law for them.
Yeah, but there is, though. What's the point of law?
Well, it just doesn't have much of an effect on them. But that's the way that the world works anyway. Right now, that's the way that taxes work.
But that's saying is like, would the world change if we had tiers, scales based off of your income?
Well, that's
So,
not
for
the
example,
question. The question is,
it is. Should fines be scaled depending on income?
Should they be scaled?
Yeah. If you have more money, should you receive a bigger fine?
No. Why would you?
Because I think that our system doesn't work because it's not scaled. Because, so for example, as a big company, I can commit wage theft all damn day long. I could just not pay you. I can steal your money on a regular basis. And you can go, okay, well, I have actions that I can take. I could take you to court. It's like, by all means, please take me to court, because I can outspend you. I can make you go bankrupt just trying to get your money. So I inherently operate in a space where I have no laws, because I can financially afford to not operate within the system of laws.
Yeah, but now you're punishing. You're punishing achievement. You're punishing success. It's
Well,
like a
no.
reverse incentive.
No, because
it's actually incentivizing people to not do well.
But that's a sold capitalism thing to you. It's not how capitalism actually works. Wealth creates more wealth. So when you're talking about like you're punishing someone's success, someone's really hard earned work, well, if you are wealthy, you can generate wealth like that. You can generate wealth just because you have wealth. It's not because you're more successful. You haven't done anything. You can inherit something and just sort of continue in the system, making more and more wealth for yourself, not working a single goddamn day in your life. It's not incentivizing people to work harder. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, like I could try to say, hey, follow the American dream and like you'll do super well up to a point, because you'll never reach a certain level of wealth. You can get rich. So for example, it's like Kevin Hart has worked his ass off. There's a really great documentary on Netflix about like all the stuff that he does. You see someone even as like an A-list celebrity who still has to fucking slog every single day to make even a little bit of a thing happen. And Kevin Hart's thing is that like he wants to create generational wealth for his family. Okay. Well, Kevin Hart, with all the hard work that he's done over decades to this point, has about a little over $300 million. That's multiple businesses. That's his acting career. That's his fitness company. That's all of the different movies that he produces, his production company, his restaurants, like everything has accumulated to that point. Someone like Elon Musk is born with way more than that and could make sort of casual investments here and there. But Kevin Hart is not going to make generational wealth for like generations.
Yeah.
His kids might have a chance of turning his money into wealth, but he as a rich person, a new rich, the nouveau riche, does not.
Yeah.
And so we have a class system in which once you reach a certain point of income, you don't have laws. And then what's the point of but the thing is you have to come back to like, what is the point of having laws? Why do we do it?
Well, let me throw an example your way.
I love this.
Let
Please.
me take two people.
Yeah.
There's Ray, and Ray makes $850 a month. Ray is only responsible for himself and his rent. You know, he lives outside of Phoenix or something like that. He's responsible for his rent and his bills and stuff like that. He makes $850 a month, and he's just enough to get by. He gets a speeding ticket for $250. Now he can't make rent, and he can't cover himself for the 1 month. And he's fucked for that month, and he has to scramble, and that could set his whole year back or something like that. It really fucks around with Ray. Now you have, say, this guy's name is Elon. And Elon has many, many billions of dollars and has a ton of people working for him that are, you know, attached to this money, that are all, you know, on different teats. If we scale that speeding ticket has to fuck around with Elon for a month, maybe a couple months, maybe the dominoes fall and it fucks around with him for a year. So we scale it so big that other people have to lose their jobs, maybe. So now this parking ticket, because it's scaled, is affecting more people than just the one person that it's intended for. Is that fair?
No. I mean, if what you're talking about is it is scaled in a direct one-to-one, should there be a parking ticket that is like a $10 billion parking ticket?
Yeah, that's what the scale would be.
No.
If you're scaling it to have the similar effect on somebody, to be the same punishment.
So I'll acquiesce and say, not all the scaling should ever be a full one-to-one experience, because you can never create that, because basically it'd be impossible, because you're like, okay, well, where do we set the scale? Do we base it off this homeless guy? Because if we base it off the homeless guy, well, so there has to be a point that you scale that we maintain the law. You can't, or we have to talk about sort of like, if there are going to be fines for things, there has to be something else like within the system that does cause it to scale. So for like the parking example, you know, we've made it a law that like you can't park in front of this hospital. Reason why you can't park in front of this hospital, because ambulances need to get here.
Right.
Well, if that hospital fee is $250, sure, that's going to deter a lot of regular people. It's not going to deter this Elon guy that really just loves fucking parking in front of this hospital. And it's fine. He can pay it. He pays $250 a day. You know, not a big deal to him.
Yeah.
And now he's putting other lives at risk, because we have laws. The main reason why we have laws in government is to protect us from each other. If there's one person that it just like doesn't apply to anymore, we have to do something to adjust that. So we have to be like, okay, well, like if you do it 10 times, we take your car away. If you do it 20 times, there has to be a way that like, sure, it doesn't scale in the immediate that like our fines are equal, but something does have to happen so that everybody does have to follow the law in its intended point.
So,
or change the law.
Question for you though. I don't know. We're talking like parking tickets, right? I don't know the actual rule. If you get a certain amount of parking tickets, don't you get points on your license, and then you could get your license revoked or suspended?
Yeah, but the thing is though, is like that's part of you can have that. And there's an argument about like
the way it already exists, the punishment does fit the crime.
Well, no, so going back to like something like wage theft. So for example, like there's a lot of crimes that you can a lot of crimes that you can commit because you just have the money to do it. You have you can pay for lawyers. You can like, I can do all kinds of wrong out there in the world, and you can attempt to take me and correct that situation through the system.
Yeah.
And I can defy that system simply because I have the money to do so.
Yeah.
So it's like Jeffrey Epstein, he got charged and convicted of sex trafficking minors like 20 years ago. Now his sentence was he had to spend some weekends in jail.
Yeah.
That's like a real crime. And the thing is like money got him around the system because he got to talk to the judge and he was like, hey, listen, man, I'm running businesses over here.
Yeah.
And like by businesses, he means like he's a financial consultant for people. He's just helping people with wealth make more wealth. So it's like, would the society fall down if he wasn't working? No. He's not a fucking scientist that's like, I'm on the verge of curing cancer.
Oh, but we can't make moral judgments come into this.
No, for sure. But the thing is, though, is like he was able to avoid the punishment by like having more wealth.
You've put me in a tough position because now I have to defend Jeffrey Epstein, who we were trying to get on the podcast.
But that's the fun. That's the fun. But
then something happened. I don't
something
know.
happened.
He can't make it. He's
what happened to his guards?
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
I wanted to take the point of view on this debate, this issue that I didn't believe in, because I know you have to do that sometimes in debate.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And
you did a great job.
Well,
I mean,
I don't
when you brought up the
know.
point about it affecting more people, that's a super valid point. You know,
that's just improv, man.
Yeah, but that's like I love debate so much, and like the
hate debate.
Aspect of debate is like ultimately pointless because you can argue any side of anything.
I know, and I want to entertain everybody's point of view, so I don't have a point of view. I'm just like, yeah, man, that sounds great.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
It is
except
interesting
for the
though.
Feet thing.
Oh, well, you were willing
That's
to take on
gross.
the pad.
Yeah,
we made a happy medium. But yeah, man, I do think that there is.
Thanks, J-Sox.
You're right that it can't be just a direct 1-to-1. It wouldn't make sense, legally speaking, even in the intention of the law, for there to be $1 billion parking ticket. That goes beyond what the law is there for.
But man, that would fund so much.
But there does have to
You
be
could do it.
something where that incentivizes people that if we're going to have laws, that you can't just like outpay your fines, which is like a lot of businesses do that. They go, so for example, like we're trying to lower the carbon tax. Well, there's some businesses that are like, okay, well, I'll just pay the fucking fee and keep polluting as much as possible. It's like, we're really trying to incentivize you to maybe not destroy the world. And they're like, but I would just like to make more money.
You see this problem right now. I don't know if any of the, if anyone watching right now watches Formula One racing.
Ooh.
I'm really into Formula One racing right now. And there was a big scandal where these teams, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, whatever, they all have a budget cap.
Yeah.
Right? Red Bull spent over its budget cap this past year. And they got penalized, and they only got penalized. They have to pay like $7 million more, or they're having $7 million taken out of their cap or something like that.
Sure.
And they get to spend a little bit less time in the wind tunnel testing their cars' aerodynamics.
Yeah.
It is a very easily surmountable thing for a powerhouse like Red Bull. Like, they're going to have a strong car next year. It doesn't matter what this punishment is. And now that the precedent has been set, all the other teams are just like, well, let's go over the budget cap.
Let's just go over the budget cap. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think they need to scale.
Probably. Yeah. I probably agree with you.
Thank you for making the point of the day on my side. That's great. I think for this, if we're going to do this as a show, we got to have little tallies.
No.
Well, also, when I was thinking about the debate show, I want to do a like traditional, like Oxford style debate of like, there's two people on each side. There's a moderator. You have to argue the point that was just addressed to you. You can't just sort of like go, yes, but there's this thing over here and like change. So much a debate could be won just by like changing what the argument is.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, the movie Thank You for Smoking. Mm-hmm. That's how I grew up. When he's talking about how to like debate and win arguments, when someone's like, oh, what's better, chocolate or vanilla? He's like, I love vanilla, blah, blah, blah. He's like, it's not about vanilla. It's about freedom. It's about blah, blah. Because like, I'm not debating you. I'm debating everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can flip anything. And like, that's how I grew up, is like learning how to turn things for the room.
Why did you grow up like that? What's wrong with you?
You know, I grew up with a stepdad that allowed me to defend myself when it came to, it wasn't just like because I said so. It was a Peter, you did this thing wrong. You're getting punished because of this. And I was like, I used to lie all the time when I was a chronic liar growing up. And he's like, you're not getting in trouble for the thing that you did. You got in trouble because you lied. And there was one day that I was playing soccer inside the house, knocked over a lamp, and I went right out to him and I was like, hey, I knocked over the lamp. I was playing soccer and I got in trouble. And he's like, and I was like, but I just told the truth. And he's like, well, now you're getting punished for playing soccer over the house. And I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, I see what this game is.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I basically was like birthed in the fires of having to debate my entire life since I was like 3 years old.
Wow.
Of learning how to like turn arguments. And it wasn't until I was 17 that I like won my first argument with him. But I felt myself getting closer and closer and closer, you know, as I aged. Yeah, it's my debate origin story.
This is a debate
and then
version of like finally beating up your old man.
It was, and I did, and it's a very sad story, which I can give you guys the link to because I turned it into a monologue.
Oh,
like
wow!
What's it called? A story slam piece. I also was raised by my dad, who was very sort of like charming, manipulative, learned how to use charm to kind of smooth things over. And then my mom, who was passive aggressive, who learned how to use emotions to smooth things over.
Oh, that's
my
a 1-2
my
combo.
origin story
Ooh.
was designed to like, I can talk my way out of anything.
Yeah.
And I have put that to the test many times, and it's not a good trait to have because you don't want your defense mechanism to be the thing that like I'm getting away, or I'm moving words around, or I'm altering the experience of like what we're talking about in order to win. Because then you end up having a distorted view of like how everything should work.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to win. I shouldn't win. You should beat me. You have the right point.
Yeah.
And like me backed into a corner, you know, shouldn't come out on top. But if pressed, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll press that button.
An origin story.
That's my origin story. But I also just like, man, this is for anyone. Jay Sox, I love that. I see that you are enjoying debate stuff, man. Intelligence Squared is an incredible podcast. Intelligence Squared is an Oxford style debate podcast. Yeah. And the way that they do it is they have two experts on either side and a moderator. And the way that they determine who wins is by how much of the audience you persuade. So at the top of the show, they get the audience vote of like yes, no, or undecided. And then you only win by getting more people to shift over to your side.
Yeah.
Not whether or not it's a majority of yes or no.
Right,
it's the amount of people you moved. So it's like real.
That's That's pretty
It's
cool.
a real debate.
But I'm feeling the diarrhea like develop in my stomach.
Why?
Because of the nerves of just like thinking about debating live.
I love it, man. I think it's such a fun sport to me.
I will listen to this podcast.
Oh,
Very
it's
interested in
dynamite.
how to debate well.
But like that's part of the reason why like I follow a lot of politics and I'm gonna give one to this is all for all you G4 fans. Is the hot dog a sandwich?
Man, no.
No?
No, it's not.
Why is it not a sandwich?
Because it's only one piece of bread.
So how do you define a sandwich?
2 pieces of bread with stuff in the middle.
Okay. So you're saying that
2 distinct pieces, unconnected.
2 unconnected pieces.
Yeah.
So have you ever had a grinder or gone to Subway?
Yeah.
You know, when they cut it, they don't sever the other side.
No, it opens up.
And that's not a
It's
sandwich.
a grinder. A sandwich is 2 things. A Subway, they call it a Subway sandwich, but it's not a sandwich. It's a sub. It's its own, they're all their own things.
Okay.
A taco is a taco. A pita is a pita. A sandwich is a more specific category than you think it is. The sandwich is not a broad category. It's not a rectangle. A sandwich is a square. A sandwich is 2 pieces of bread with stuff in the middle.
But that's not always the case, though.
What is a sandwich that wouldn't be a
Well, because what you just brought up is like Subway subs, they're called sandwiches.
They may call them sandwiches, but
right,
that's wrong.
But right.
They're
based
subs.
off of what? You're just saying it's wrong, like a large portion of the population call them sandwiches. So you're saying something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to give the large population's definition of sandwich, or do you want me to give my
well,
definition
because then
of
we have to decide on like, well, let's look up what the Webster Dictionary definition of sandwich is.
Okay. This is liable to change my opinion, though, if they have a different one, because I've never.
Well,
looked at
because if you're not going to go by, the public's definition of sandwich, the only source that we can go to is the dictionary's definition of sandwich.
this. Okay.
A sandwich is a food typically consisting of vegetables. Now, notice they say typically, because they're not always.
Typically.
There's a cookie sandwich.
Yeah. 2 separate Oreos.
And then you
Something in the
said
middle.
it's 2 pieces of bread.
Yeah.
So you can't have ice cream sandwiches.
Or 2 pieces of whatever. That's a kind of bread. That's a sweet bread.
It can't be whatever.
Cookies are a
Two
sweet
tomatoes? Huh?
Yeah, sure.
So 2
You can have
pieces of
2
anything.
tomatoes.
Okay.
Sandwich. Well, let's see.
A cucumber sandwich.
No, you know what?
Cucumber sandwich. There's a lot of sandwiches out there.
I'm gonna say bread or like baked good, right? So it can be cookies because that's a kind of bread. It's a sweet bread.
So a baked good.
Sure,
Okay.
but
Not-
now you're gonna go to like, oh, can it be 2 eclairs with stuff in the middle? And that's like too far. You kind of know it when you see it. It's like porn.
You can't.
Sandwiches
No,
are
no.
porn.
If a hot dog is going to be a sandwich, it can't be, when
It's
you
not a
see it.
sandwich.
Yeah, it all depends on the definition of the sandwich. Because the whole thing about this is the hot dog being a sandwich could be argued every goddamn which way.
Right.
You can argue it's like, oh, well, it's how you eat it, whether it's vertical,
That's preposterous.
vertical or horizontal. Well, that would be your defining definition, because if you say a Subway sandwich is a sandwich, even though the crease is not broken, you would then have to talk about the angle of which you're eating. That makes it difference between a sandwich and a hot dog.
What? I don't think that matters. I think if you took the Subway sub and you cut that little membrane of bread, now it's a sandwich. Same with a grinder. A taco, if it's a flour tortilla.
Uh-huh. A sandwich is a food typically consisting of vegetables, sliced cheese, or meat placed on or between slices of bread. Placed on. So there's
Slices.
open faces sandwich. Placed on or between slices of bread.
There
or more
are
generally,
open-faced sandwiches.
any dish wherein bread serves as a container or wrapper for another food type. I'm going to say that again. according to the definition of sandwich. Any dish wherein bread serves as a container or wrapper for another food type.
Now, look up Earl of Sandwich and look up what his sandwich was.
Earl of Sandwich.
Because you will find that was 2 pieces of bread, and that's the original definition of what a sandwich is. I don't have anything against the Oxford Dictionary.
Earl of Sandwich is a restaurant franchise.
I know that. I know that.
Yeah, but his thing originally did it, but like all of our things in the world, our definitions expand.
Yeah, well, this is an argument now between prescriptive and descriptive definitions.
Going by the definition that currently exists on the books.
I'm going by what Earl of Sandwich intended.
So you are a what's it called? What in the Supreme Court? Originalist.
Originalist?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm a prescriptivist as well.
Hold on.
Pita's not a sandwich.
Merriam-Webster sandwich. Well, here's the thing.
Bagel is a sandwich.
Bagel.
If you have 2 pitas, that's a sandwich.
Ooh, interesting. Now I'm on the official Merriam-Webster
Go into all these dictionaries, and this is just fake news again.
It's not fake news because it is the group of people that come together to define what words mean. Sandwich starts off strong in your favor. 2 or more slices of bread or a split roll having a filling in between.
A split roll
sounds
if it's split
like
into
a
2.
hot dog to me. No, just a split roll.
Split roll, split into 2
egg salad
pieces.
sandwich.
That's what split means.
A lot of things are served in those Hawaiian rolls. They're not always split. A lot of things are served in those.
Those Hawaiian rolls, the intent is for them to be 2 pieces of bread. If there's a little, I'm going to say
Lobster roll?
If there's a membrane, we can assume that is supposed to be 2 pieces of bread. A hoagie is
Well, then you
a
would
big
say that
thing.
a
It's
hot dog
big
is a
piece of bread.
sandwich.
No, because a hot dog has to be contained. Now we're talking about intent. The people at
Split
King's
roll.
Hawaiian
Split
are
roll
trying to make 2
having
slices.
a filling in between, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Yeah.
Now you
Merriam-Webster
can just say.
Merriam-Webster might be wrong.
Well, cool. So here's the whole thing.
We have to go back to. You're still not looking up what Earl of Sandwich's sandwich was. And that is what a sandwich is. It's called this man's name.
But the thing is, though, is if you are using that, then we would have to erase hundreds of other things from the sandwich category, if that is what your definition is.
Thanos.
But that's an interesting thing about debate. In order to be right, you would have to eliminate all of these other things that we have categorized not just as sandwiches, but actually have sandwich in the name.
Wrongly. I'm just saying it has to be 2 separate pieces of bread.
What is the
That's what a sandwich
Earl
is.
of sandwich?
Sandwich.
Sandwich. What is the sandwich that is the Earl of sandwiches?
Is a lobster roll a sandwich if it's on 2 pieces of bread or 2 pieces of roll?
What is the sandwich? Is there?
Then it's a lobster
In
sandwich.
1762,
Otherwise, it's a lobster roll.
John Montague, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, trademark, which is actually on here, invented the meal that changed dining forever. As the story goes, he was playing cards and did not want to leave the game table to eat. He asked for a serving of roast beef to be placed between 2 slices of bread so he could eat this. So according to your definition, the only place that serves sandwiches are Arby's.
Oh, because it's roast beef?
It's only roast beef.
No, that's it.
That's what you said. You said the
filling.
defining definition is whatever the Earl of Sandwich is sandwich, which is a roast beef sandwich between 2 slices of bread.
I said the defining construction is whatever his construction was, and the construction is the scaffolding, which is the bread. That's the important part.
That's what elevated it.
Roast beef could have been eaten in any way. The thing that was novel about it, that made it the reason that this was a new thing, is because the roast beef, which could have been anything, was served on 2 pieces of bread. That was
From the
new
same
thing.
loaf.
That was the new thing.
Right?
I don't know.
Does it have to be separate loaves in order for it to work?
No, it has to be the same loaf. I'm just kidding. It can be different loaves. I'm okay
Either-
with that
either
much
or.
expansion in the definition.
That it can be one or multiple loaves.
I've
of
said
bread.
it already.
What
the
about-
sandwich is 2 pieces
What
of
about
bread.
a roll that is cut completely and severed into 2 parts?
Sandwich? Or a torta?
Oh yeah, torta.
Why would you possibly, in this psychotic logic of yours, call a hot dog a sandwich?
Because it fits the definition of what we call sandwiches.
It's not a sandwich, though, and you know it.
Well, here's the thing. It's not about what I know, it's what I can prove. And what I can prove that is solid is that all of the diction definitions include a split roll encompassing a filling in between.
Okay. The split roll is split into 2.
So here's the thing. If I went and found...
I didn't say a split roll.
If I went and found every language resource in which we document the English language, or even other languages, and found that they all included a split roll with filling, would you buy that a hot dog is a sandwich?
I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around split roll. Like a split roll means a split roll into 2 separate pieces
Or
of the roll.
a split roll having a filling in between.
Yeah.
Split roll saying
Split roll means
that it's
what is a
not
split
severed. 2 or more slices of bread, or a split roll.
2 or more slices of
split.
bread. Bread is sliced from a loaf. A roll is one thing.
Split.
Into 2.
I'm just looking up the definition of split now. Because this is where and also, like, I could totally argue your side of it, too. I'm just... That's what and the debate continues. But according to the definitions, hot dog's a sandwich. And I don't even agree that it's a sandwich. But I can't argue with the facts.
Well, I'm starting to lose faith in our greatest dictionaries.
Are you?
Yeah.
What's another dictionary?
The Mercator map. That's a map.
That is a map. It's right in the name. What are the other dictionaries? Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary.
You're going to look up split roll in Urban Dictionary?
I'm going to look up
I can't
and see
wait
what
to see
sandwich
this.
is in an Urban Dictionary.
Chat, what is a split roll in Urban Dictionary?
Wait,
Without looking.
wait.
I want to know what the chat
You're going to
thinks.
want it. You're going to not.
I want to know what J Sox and PewDiePie think.
Listen,
Pal.
I'm going to read to you all the actual... In the Urban Dictionary, this is what the definition of sandwich is.
Jesus Christ. All right.
Here it comes.
And
Submitted April 22nd. It was updated April 22nd of 2020. So pretty recent. Okay. Sandwich. One of the best foods ever. Seriously, man. If you have not tried this, what in the fuck have you been doing?
Yeah.
It's easy to make and it tastes so fucking good. If you like... I can't say that on stream. So, if you like blank, specifically chickens, you perverted ass thought it was a penis, didn't you? You're in luck. Chicken sandwiches exist, and they're delicious. If you are a disgusting, sloppy vegan, there's a sandwich for that. You like eggs, there's a sandwich for that. If you like humans, first off, what in the absolute fuck is wrong with you? Second, there's a sandwich for that. But how do you make it? Bread slice. Whatever you want. Bread slice. Easy shit. Sandwiches are good.
so I have the Dictionary of the People, not the fuddy-duddies with powdered wigs
Right.
on my side. I have the originator of sandwiches
Now-
on my side.
I think that's great. I think you're right in the fact that sandwich, the Urban Dictionary, seems to be trending towards Zach's. Now, Zach has brought in his group of experts, and I've brought in my groups of experts who have written the literal English language and say simple, concise things like there's Merriam-Webster definition. And
Merriam-Webster.
Zach's expert that he rolled into our debate court case says One of the best foods ever. Seriously, man. If you tried this, what in the fuck are you doing? It's easy to make. This is the expert that you've called to the stands.
Listen to me. I don't mean to sink so low as to take an ad hominem attack here, but this expert from Urban Dictionary is at least someone speaking with integrity. Merriam-Webster, their word of the year that they put in was goblin mode.
No,
goblin.
That wasn't the word of the year.
Well,
gaslighting was the word of the year.
Well, what was goblin mode?
It was one of the words on the list. Gaslighting is an important word.
My case.
Let me see. Do they have the author?
But how dare they just bend? See, that's again, Merriam-Webster's in Oxford. That like they're so prestigious, but they bend to the will of the internet. They bend to the will of the woke
No, this
culture.
has all. This has all the history in it, and yours was written by the Cooler Penguin 27.
Someone speaking from the heart with integrity.
You
and
have
it's the voice of the people. I bring you to this argument of descriptive versus
It's not the
prescriptive.
voice of the people. It's the voice of one person. This was written by the Cooler Penguin 27. The Merriam-Webster definition was written by a team of language experts.
Not sandwich experts, language experts. They're spending too much time in their
locate
language lab.
the Cooler Penguin 27 so we can check his sandwich credentials.
Peter, can you tell Partner Face what goblin mode is? Because I can't remember what the
I
actual...
don't either.
I think it's like
Let's
goblin
look it up.
mode is hiding in your apartment because it's the pandemic and just like growing grosser and uglier because you're not cleaning yourself. I think.
Maybe. Goblin mode.
Petey Pal says Urban Dictionary has a great definition for hot dog as well.
Goblin mode. It was Oxford's dictionary's 2020 of the year.
Again.
Well, let's check out the Oxford Dictionary's definition of sandwich. I mean, let's check out the actual people who invented the English language.
Shakespeare invented the English
He
language.
did not.
But Chaucer invented the English language. What we're speaking is so far from the English language anyway. We're speaking Merkin.
Wait. Sarnie. They have informal as a sarnie. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a sponge cake consisting of 2 layers with jam or cream between them.
That's cute.
I think we're good on the sandwich debate.
That's fine.
This will go until the end of time, everyone. Oh, wait. We had to look up goblin mode in the goblin mode is rejection of societal expectations and the act of living in an unkept, hedonistic manner without concern for one's. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't look up Wikipedia's definition of sandwich.
Wikipedia is a misinformation.
I know.
don't even trust it.
But you trust Urban Dictionary?
Yeah, Urban Dictionary is straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, they include container or wrapper for other food. That's too broad. Wikipedia's definition of sandwich is too broad. It would include too many things.
Right.
Is a fucking sushi roll?
A sandwich?
No.
It doesn't
It's
feel
a
like
roll.
one, right?
No, it's not. Oh, man. Wow. I think we got to go out on that.
All right.
That was
That was spicy.
that was a beautiful. Isn't it fun just to get in there, find out what words are,
yeah.
you know?
It's enriching.
There is no good definition of sandwich that encompasses all things that are called a sandwich. And that's the fundamental problem.
Yep.
We call a lot of things sandwiches.
Do you have a favorite sandwich?
I want to say ice cream sandwich.
With like
That just made my wife laugh. Because she knows I like ice cream.
Like the traditional ice cream sandwich or like a cookie ice cream sandwich?
Both.
Yeah.
Traditional ice cream is just good.
You ever had ice cream sandwiches from Creamwich?
But I have, yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
I do like a good Italian, like spicy Italian.
Yeah, bro.
With all the different cured meats on it.
Yeah.
There's this place that was across the street from my dad's house in Connecticut. It was like a gas station without being a gas station. Mm-hmm. All right, that had a deli.
This already sounds legit.
Had a deli inside, and you go in, and the problem is it's one of those places that they put so much meat. It's literally like that much is just the meat, and then there's other ingredients, and then there's the bread, and it costs like $6.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
It was amazing. But the thing is like, you would die eating it. You can get a foot long, and that foot long would last you a month. I loved it. And it's like you take like 2-3 bites maybe.
Yeah.
And you're full because you've just eaten
just meat density.
Yeah. You've just eaten 25 slices of meat in those bites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
What about you? What's your favorite sandwich?
Pulled pork, barbecue pulled pork with a slaw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's simple.
It's great.
I love it.
My favorite.
Favorite sandwiches out there?
Anyone? Zach is bread plus meat plus bread plus
Oh,
meat plus
what
bread.
if there are 3 slices?
Yeah, I would say at least 2 slices to cover that.
Oh, that's a Big Mac.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That is a bread plus meat plus bread plus meat plus bread. Yeah, that's a Big Mac. And then plus meat plus bread is a club sandwich. Wait, no, it's still a club sandwich.
Club sandwich is 3.
What is a Big Mac a club sandwich?
A Big Mac is a club sandwich. A Big Mac is a club burger. Are burgers sandwiches?
Is McDonald's a club?
Well, answer this question. Are burgers sandwiches? Or are they burgers?
They're sandwiches. There's 2 pieces of bread.
I just think like, people will argue that's part of the arguments that are out there is like hot dog is its own thing.
Yeah.
And so then
Now you're gonna say hamburger's a
a
sandwich.
burger would be its own thing.
Yeah, but it's a sandwich.
Is a Reuben a sandwich or is it a Reuben?
Does it have 2 pieces of bread? Yes, it's a sandwich.
Meatball.
A Reuben
meatball sandwich.
No, there's only 1 piece of bread.
So there is no, in Zach's world, you cannot have a meatball sandwich.
If you have 2 pieces of bread with meatballs, I don't see what's so hard about this.
It's not 2 pieces, it's 2 or more pieces.
2 or more pieces. Yeah, you could have a meatball
Now,
club sandwich.
let me ask you this. I'm
meatball
gonna
Big
fuck
Mac.
with him a little bit because I love debate stuff. You said it's possible to have 3 pieces of bread to be a sandwich.
Are you going to say
What if?
on 3 sides horizontal or some dumb
What if
shit?
I took 2 here and then 1 on the
Hate
side?
this is why God Why is canceled. Yeah, that's a sandwich, bro.
Is it?
Sure.
Because the connecting piece is a separate piece that's been added to it?
Yeah. I don't see what's so hard about this.
That's also the big thing I love about debate is like when somebody has to stick to a point, they're like gonna say some crazy shit.
Wait a second.
This monstrosity that we've just described, 2 pieces of bread with 1 just hanging out on the side
What if
is a
it's-
sandwich, but a hot dog is not a sandwich.
What if you have a Reuben sandwich and then 1 other piece of random rye that you just throw in the yard and say, is that part of the sandwich too? Yeah, it's a sandwich. I'll go eat it later.
No, that's a sandwich and that's a piece of bread that you've thrown in the yard.
Okay, so
you are an
have to connect them?
you are a lunatic, sir, and you cannot be trusted.
One long
This guy's
piece
talking about transitive properties of this is the quantum sandwich realm of the fact that they are a far distance but inherently the same thing.
Uh-huh. Right. It's
What is done to this sandwich will affect the other sandwich.
the wave function of the sandwich is what we're talking about.
Therefore, all of the other remaining pieces of bread on the loaf are also part of the sandwich.
Right. They would have to be. Also, all ingredients that exist. Because they're all connected.
They're all
by the cosmic wave function.
It's all connected.
And all subs, hoagies, tacos, hot dogs are part of that sandwich.
That universe, but they're not sandwiches.
They are not themselves sandwiches.
They are a part of everything and yet not a part of the sandwich.
Well, they aren't a sandwich, but they are a part of the sandwich.
They are not a sandwich. They're just a part of a sandwich.
Of the sandwich, which is basically, if we extrapolate that,
You heard it here,
universe
folks.
is the sandwich.
Hot dog is not a sandwich. It is a part of
A greater sandwich.
a greater sandwich.
The Uber sandwich.
The Uber sandwich. I think we settled it.
Yep. Glad we can agree on that.
Glad we can agree. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. This was great. I had a good time.
Love you, buddy.
Love you, man. All right. Thanks, everybody. Go pick a debate fight with somebody today. All right. Okay. Bye.